Hello, welcome everybody. I'm going to go over book 3, chapter 31. Just one sentence in there. I'm not, there's a lot more than one sentence there. I'm going over, I can't even see here. Basically, this portion here and this portion, basically what's highlighted is the part that I'm going to go over, which you see right here. More with John that rested, okay, etc. So I'm going to go over why I believe this is false. More with John that rested on the bosom of our Lord, who was a priest that bore sacerdotal plate and martyr and teacher. He also rested at Ephesus. If we go to the Bible, he was actually a fisherman. Okay, so that kind of puts a wrench in the whole idea he was this high priest. Let's see here. Here we go. Let's take a look at what it takes to become a high priest. If you look at this article here, you had to be, passed from father to son, unless a child unfit to serve. So he went straight to being a fisherman, even if his dad was a high priest. The fact that he's a fisherman shows that he's unfit to serve. All right, probably due to not having enough memorization scriptures. Although John, he had a lot memorized. Don't get me wrong, but to become a rabbi, you had to be like, they would compete to become a rabbi, and as you're growing up, you hope to become a rabbi, and you just memorize, and you pretty much had to have a photographic memory. It did not mean that they had disagreements between rabbis. They definitely did with different interpretations, but anyway, it's such a stretch to go and say that he was wearing the sacerdotal plate. He's a high priest. So Polycrates, who's around 130, 196, again, he wasn't even there. He claimed this. So who knows? Maybe Polycrates never claimed this, and Eusebius rewrote what he said to make it look like it John wore the plate and the priest, so forth. That's also possible too. There's evidence of modification of writing of many people have been labeled church fathers. Clement of Rome, for example, you read the very first sentence, from Church of Rome to Church of Corinth. That is evidence of modification right there. All right. So, along with that, it does not fit the whole New Covenant theme anyway. So here he was a fisherman who, let's just say dad was supposedly a high priest. He also didn't make the cut. He's a fisherman. So, and we enter the New Covenant, priesthood for all believers. You should read this article here. When you enter the New Covenant, Christ is your high priest. Alrighty, and we all are priests of God anyway. You don't need to wear that plate. It just does not fit with the chronology and the order of things and the nature of the different covenants. It's more than a stretch to go and believe this. It's so obviously modified. So it does not fit the New Covenant narrative. So, and also, it's highly unlikely John read to Ephesians. Okay, so if we look at the timeline, actually, let's back up a little bit. If you compare the time indicators in which a timeline, you're placing things happen, chronology, and then you narrow it down when those things happen based on the information you gather. And I've been able to narrow a lot of things down, right down to the day, something down to the hour, okay? Try to root precision level down to the hour to be as precise as possible. So I got a pretty good deal of accuracy in a lot of things. But when you compare the time indicator John's writing, for example, last hour here, all right, they'll turn to the last hour, okay? and you compare that to shortly take place, alrighty, time is near, alrighty, and coming quickly. Now, your typical Christian today have been programmed to become desensitized to the time indicators because they believe in a false paradigm, and they end up just, because their false paradigm they believe in to be true, they just bulldoze right over the time indicators and they just kind of blow them off. But the time indicators are actually very important. If you use good solid hermeneutics and purge out all that false stuff that you hear, what really happened was, these right here, you compare the time indicators to this one, this is obviously written after these were written. Alrighty, so let's take a look at the timeline. Alright, so after piecing much together, I conclude the book of Revelation, written in March of AD 66. Alrighty, it was not written in the 90s. If you believe that the book of Revelation was written in the 90s, I encourage you to read Dr. Gentry's book, Before Jerusalem Fell, the dating book of Revelation. That's a good one. That's actually the only book out there on the dating book of Revelation. But do more research, and you will eventually, if you use good critical thinking skills and look at this objectively and really think through, you'll begin to see that the late date so-called evidence just falls apart. It does not hold water at all. I have videos on that, and I go over that. But anyway, so around March of 1866, so here we are. Okay, so around here, when Book of Revelation is written. And so I believe John, he was in Asia, okay? Now he's an apostle to the Jews, not Gentiles, so he'd been visiting the Jews, the Christian Jews that were in those 7 churches, okay? And he was not as restrained like Peter was to feed the house of Israel in Jerusalem. All right, so that assignment was assigned to Peter in John 21. All right, I'm sure John would have helped him out here and there, but the responsibility as chief apostle was given to Peter. So Peter did not have as much freedom to roam around. All right, so anyway. So around March 1866 is around the time that the light of the temple was bright as light. This was at 2 to 3 a.m. All right, so it was around and went on for from March 20th to 26th. I believe around that time, Book of Revelation is written. It fits what was described. And look at the tenses, past tense, present tense, and future tenses in the Book of Revelation, and you look at the history of what went on. I heavily conclude that it had been around March of 1866. It fits everything that went on. And then, so these things were short to take place, and I'm near, and Jesus said, I'm coming quickly. Well, 2 months later, just shy of 2 months, then a sign of the Son of Man occurred in the sky. This was in May of 1866. So, yeah, right here, May 2nd of 1866. So when Jesus said, I'm coming quickly, he meant it within 2 months. And it's not a type of judgment coming where Jesus just bodily returned to the earth. That's not what would have gone through the Jewish mind at all. You look at the history in the Old Testament. I have videos on that too. So the time is near, soon to take place, coming quickly, all right? And so John, then once he became free, he would have gotten on his horse and went straight down to Jerusalem and wrote his 3 epistles. You know, they're very short. There's a sense of urgency. It says the last hour. So he'd been ready to Jerusalem with the 3 epistles. With Book of Revelation, he wrote to 7 churches, which were the Jews were scattered in Asia, which we now call Asia Minor, the Roman Empire. This would be the Hellenistic Jews, or the stick of Joseph, okay? And the stick of Judah, Jews who were in Jerusalem, he would have gone there afterwards. So I believe the 3 epistles of John were written after Book of Revelation. You compare the time indicators. And I believe John was actually at the temple during the time of Vespasian, was destroying it. And I believe John was with them the entire time until the day they fled, and the last day of their 1335 day prophecy, which the last day was on April 10th of 8070. Alrighty. And then 3 years later, their last day. So remember, when they write in the last days, the near demonstrative is referring to their last days, the last day of the house of Israel. Okay, so I saw their last day, which finally consummated on Tishri 5 in the Hebraic calendar, or September 22nd, 8073. All right, so that was a long process to get there to finally solve that. So after that day, they were desolate, just like Jesus said, the house will be left desolate. So as of September 23rd of 8073, they were desolate, they were gone. And so any writing that claimed that John was still around after that, it was all fabricated. All right. And so John would not have been in Ephesus. He would have visited Ephesus, okay, but he would not have stayed there, because you compare the time indicators of his writings, it suggests that he had gone to Jerusalem and prepared the Jews in Jerusalem for the 1335-day prophecy. So it had been written before the 1335 days right here. Alrighty. So Book of Revelation was written about right here, March. He got his horse, went down, and he would have written later the 3 epistles and prepare them for the 1335-day prophecy. When you look at carefully the tenses, and again, he was an apostle of Jews, not Gentiles, so he's writing to Jewish Christians in Jerusalem, preparing them for the Jews who rejected Christ coming in the flesh, who were the Antichrists. Okay? So, anyway, what it boils down to is this does not hold water at all. Alrighty. This is all fabricated to make John look like he was still around, to make it look like it was succession, to give themselves a credibility, and to make it look like these writings had credibility because they were taught by John. And so it's all in the theme of trying to centralize power around Rome. And so, so it does not hold water. Now, they could not do that with Peter, because Peter, right in his epistle, indicated that he's going to die soon. So they could not extend him. So they chose John, knowing they could get away with it. And so, because he doesn't mention in his writing that he's about to die soon, that the Lord revealed to him, unlike Peter. All right, so anyway. So those are my thoughts, and I have pretty strong conviction that I share with you, but I'd love to hear your thoughts too, or if you have more to add to it, I'd love to hear your comments as well. All right, well, thank you very much, and hope you have an awesome day.